close out Shinobi month, I thought it would be good to end the month with another classic Shinobi game on the Mega Drive, and that is Shinobi 3. Compared to its predecessor, the action is considerably smoother, with less emphasis on difficulty and more on speed. In addition to the ability to run from place to place, the player character comes equipped with a new array of moves and techniques, including a mid-air dash kick, the ability to jump scale walls, and a powerful running slash that renders him temporarily invincible to projectiles. Besides his regular assortment of moves and attacks, the player has the ability to perform 4 special ninjutsu techniques. Only one can be used in each level, unless Shinobi finds additional ninjutsu bonuses throughout hidden spots in most levels. The 4 ninjutsu techniques involve engulfing lightning as a temporary shield, summon fire dragons, boosting his vertical leap and self-sacrificing, the latter costing 1 life to destroy common enemies or damage bosses. The game was originally meant to be released in 1992 for the Mega Drive, but when Sega bosses took a look at an almost complete version, they insisted on changes, and so the game's release was delayed a few months to 1993 so improvements could be made. And this is a final version of the game you see here, and what a game it is too. First off, at the time of this game's release, cartridges were expanding all the time. 16 megabit cartridges were becoming more and more common on store shelves. And with this increase in memory, the price also increased. But this gem of a game, with all of its great graphics data, fantastic sounds and level layouts, it was all crammed onto an 8 megabit cartridge. That's only 1 megabyte. You can't even take a picture on your phone and store it in less memory than that. Sega really did knock the ball out of the park with this effort, and by not going for the easy or expensive option of the 16 megabit cartridge, they were able to keep the price of this game to $39.99, and I can say it's a game that was worth every penny. I am going to discuss the music first, and unlike the Revenge of Shinobi, which is the direct prequel to this game, this soundtrack was not done by Yuzo Koshiro. The soundtrack to this game was done by Hirofumi Murasaki, Morihiko Akiyama, and Masayuki Nagao, and oh my word, what a soundtrack! The music in this game is really excellent, with fast-paced, rock-sounding background music. It really does get the blood pumping, and each tune fits perfectly with the theme of the game and the level, and provides an excellent atmosphere to the whole game. boss music is different for each enemy, a welcome change over the standard boss music heard in Revenge of Shinobi. The sound effects are a teeny weeny bit disappointing, but the only thing I am critical of with the sound is the sound Shinobi makes when he jumps. As with other Mega Drive games of the time, the speech effect sounds garbled almost, like he has a mouthful of water or something, and the explosion sound of the enemies dying sounds like a fart. Again, something which the Mega Drive was famous for by this point. The graphics are outstanding, especially for a game that fits onto an 8MB cartridge. All of the sprites look a lot larger and more detailed than those in Revenge of Shinobi, and the backgrounds all showing improvements too. The skyline at the start of level 2 looks impressive, with this impending storm type of background. The boss at the end of level 3 is really gruesome looking, with this shimmering effect, but the detail on the crater filled head just looks outstanding. It's not all positive though, with some poor looking backgrounds seen in the surfboard level, and level 2 too, with what appears to be loads of flashing lights plastered onto some impressive parallax scrolling. The animation on the Shinobi sprite is great. The walk and the run looking really smooth and natural. But the monkey grab walk thing looks poor and choppy. But it's a small complaint on what is overall a fantastic work of art. But as I say, great graphics and sound are all pointless if the game doesn't play well. And Shinobi 3 is easily one of the best Mega Drive games of all time. Although I still prefer Revenge of Shinobi, Shinobi 3 is only a tiny little bit behind. The gameplay mechanics have improved upon those in Revenge of Shinobi, with Shinobi learning a few new moves for his repertoire. So he can now run, which means it can be quicker to move through the levels, and this means it can jump further and higher as well. As well as jumping higher, you can also jump from wall to ascend up to higher levels, which allows for far larger levels of those seen in previous Shinobi games. You can also now run and slash at enemies, which is more powerful than just a regular slash. but the biggest development is the close quarters combat. So when he jumps, he can now perform this pseudo flying kick to an enemy and jump back a little. But an area that took a step back was when the power up is collected. In Revenge of Shinobi, when you have a power up, Shinobi automatically walks with shurikens crossed to act as a defence. In Shinobi 3, you need to hold down attack for Shinobi to walk with his katana drawn for defence. I preferred it when it was done automatically, but again, it's just a preference, not a criticism. The magic returns with all the same kind as seen in Revenge of Shinobi, albeit with some graphical improvements, and each one having its own animation for activation. As much as things change and others stay the same, this all adds up to an outstanding game by Sega. By the time this game was released, I had already stopped buying Mega Drive games and was more focused on the Super Nintendo. But once I seen this game running at CA Games, I had to dust off the Mega Drive for this game, and I played it for weeks. Some people were critical of Shinobi 3's difficulty, with some saying it was too easy, if you can believe that, and others said it was too difficult. Personally, I found the difficulty just right. I have always struggled with double jump mechanics in games, and I hate all that platform jumpy stuff, but the challenge of the game was pitched just right. The early levels are fairly easy, but the later levels are very tough, and I am always in awe of those players who can play the entire game on a single life. Prior to me making the decision to focus more on the Super Nintendo, I had felt that Sega had lost a bit of its mojo with recent games released around the middle of 1992. But the release of Shinobi 3 and Streets of Rage 2 a few months before that, Sega had managed to capture some of that magic that made me a Sega fanboy, and Shinobi 3 was a great example of what Sega could do when properly motivated. This was a great swan song for Shinobi on the 16-bit platform. With the games being so far apart from development and release dates, it's like a perfect bookend for the Mega Drive. Revenge of Shinobi was a game that I had coveted for a while in magazines before the Mega Drive was even released in the UK, and was one of the main reasons I got a Mega Drive in the first place. And Shinobi 3 was the reason why I dusted off my Mega Drive in 1993, which was really at the twilight of the platform's life, and showed that there was still life left in the old dog. In closing, I simply cannot heap enough praise on Shinobi 3. It is such a great game, such a classic game, and a game that no retro collector should be without, provided they can justify the cost. I just had a look at eBay and can see that it is changing hands for about £200. And you know what? It's still worth every penny, in my opinion. And that was my look back at Shinobi 3 on the Mega Drive. If you like this video, then please subscribe and give me a thumbs up, or if you'd like, you can leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.